All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune. It's the 10th of July. The boys in the cave and their coach are free and safe. Yay. That's so awful. We went caving one time here. There's caves around Central Oregon, and my youngest and I stayed back while my husband and the oldest went into this little opening. And of course, we stayed behind and our flashlight quit, and they were gone for far longer than I was comfortable. And so it was awful. It was just the stress of worrying, are they okay? Where are they? They're well used caves, so I'm sure that they were fine, but it was frightening. It was the first time and last time that we did that. Our boys, after a point, homeschooled. Our youngest finished 4th and our oldest finished 7th when we pulled them out. They were both gifted, and it just didn't make sense to leave them in public school. And there just wasn't anything around here that like there's more stuff available now in alternative education around here. And had we had those as an option, we might not have done that, but it was a good thing. We could gear their, we were basically unschoolers. So, there was some stuff that we did that was geared toward college, in terms of writing and math and whatnot. But beyond that, they followed their interests, and they're both in the computer field now, basically, and doing well. And it was just a good way to, I think, for our kids to do this. So I wouldn't have given up that time with them for anything. When you send your kids to school, someone else gets to see all that for all that time during the day. You don't get to see the discovery. We were in town, and we got a phone call from them saying that they were playing with the dog and a ball, and it hit the dog in the eye, and they'd already called the vet and gotten information, and they'd exhausted everything that we had in the house on eyes. And so we needed to stop by a bookstore to get anything else I could find so they could understand more about what was going on. So see, that's what happens to your kids when you let them learn. They're natural learners, kids are. So if you think they're just going to sit around playing video games, well, they might play video games, but trust me, that's going to go away real quick. They're going to want to do things and learn things. And they're just, that's what we did anyway. But no more caving. We did it one time, and that was it. Mom couldn't cope afterwards. So it's just not for us. So when I saw that the kids were in there, I thought, oh no. But it's amazing, isn't it, what we can do when people are in danger? The world just stops, doesn't it? Or it should. So good deal. I'm sure their families are thrilled. I read they couldn't hug them right away, though, because the doctors needed to look at them or something. I don't know. I would have said, get out of my way. I'm going to my kid. All right, so let's count 13 and see what we have for today. I do a series on my blog, Stepping Aside, that it's exploring tarot, and what it means is exploring all the tarot decks I have. And so the next one I'm going to do is I think it's the Wildwood Tarot. And is it the Wildwood? Is that what I'm doing? I don't remember. I did Druidcraft. I don't remember which one I'm doing next. Anyway, oh, Justice. The 11th card of the major arcana. See, we see the 2 pillars on either side. We see that always when we see Justice. We see the in her right hand, Yes, over here is you can barely see. You know, some of these cards are not as clear as others. She holds a sword on the other hand and the scales on the other. And it's all about balance, doing things in a balanced way. But you know, the interesting thing about justice too, though, is it's not always about what's fair and balanced. You know, equal. It doesn't necessarily mean equal. Sometimes, you know, people. Sometimes someone else needs to have more because the situation requires it. So clearly, you know, all efforts were on those boys in the caves. You know, people went all over. Elon Musk, I read, sent a submarine. I don't know if they got to use that or if it didn't get there in time, you know, because all that takes time to move that kind of equipment. But you know, if he can send a sports car to Mars, you know, of course. So anyway, Justice is the 11th card of the major arcana, and 11 is, in numerology, if you don't already know about numerology, I would guess if you're watching this, you probably do. So then you know about master numbers. And, you know, you've got 11, 22, 33, any of the dual numbers are considered master numbers. And the 11 is the master number for illumination and awareness and all of that, and the subconscious. And basically when I see that associated with justice, that's coming from higher power. Okay, our idea of justice didn't come from what we decided on one day together or however. That comes from spirit. The whole notion of justice comes from spirit. Justice denotes the power of the goddess within. It's about unbiased thinking and equality. It's about being able to see the bigger picture of something and knowing when the just thing needs to happen. You know, when we were in business, we didn't always do what was best for our business. We would do what was best for the customer. And we had to find a balance. So we didn't always charge for the work we did. If it was just something small, you know, we just did it. It didn't make sense. It felt to do anything else was nickel and diming someone. And it just, you know, it just didn't seem like if my husband was only going to spend 5 minutes doing something, I don't care what it was, really didn't matter. I mean, why charge money for it? It just didn't make any sense. So sometimes, you know, you do things, your concept of justice, you know, it's about what are you willing to give to someone else when it doesn't really benefit you. So you have to ask yourself, am I an egalitarian sort of individual, or is everything that I'm doing, does it really only benefit me? When you see justice, the justice card, you're talking about balanced reasoning, or just even considering reasoning alone, you know. So many times, again, it's single-minded focus that doesn't take into account the bigger picture. So I think that, you know, I mean, here it shows a king, which, you know, I would question as to how justice-oriented kings are, but especially back in the day. But that could be, you know, a just ruler, a just authoritarian figure in authority, in a position of authority, using the power of balanced reasoning and inner wisdom to inform the outcome of something and the decision on something. We're seeing, you know, we all know that immigration into countries, it has to be managed. It does. It just can't be a come one, come all situation. You have to plan for all of it. And we tend to do things when you have people coming into the country illegally, then they're doing it in a way, obviously, that isn't going to benefit them in the long run, that flow of immigrants. And so this country has developed a really odd situation, though, that has brought up all manner of justice into people's minds. You know, what do you do with someone who comes in to a country in a way that isn't legal? Do you deprive them of their children? Do you, and the horror stories we're hearing about all that. We have to figure out to deal in life, no matter what it is. I don't care if it's big or small, in a way that's just. And moral, no, you don't, you have to do something if someone does something they shouldn't do, like try to come in the country when they're not doing it right. Of course you have to respond, but do you do it that way, by taking their children away, their babies, and then not caring for them properly? So we have issues of justice on our minds these days, don't we? And so from the Rune, we've seen this one before. This is Rado. And again, this is about the spiritual journey, really. It's about travel. It's about the rider and horse. And, if you ride horses, then you know that there has to be some rhythmic motion between you and your horse. Otherwise, you're probably going to get thrown off. Well, the same is true in life. We have to have some kind of balanced rhythmic motion in a way that doesn't damage other people. We do that when we drive cars. We make sure we know the rules of the road. We do what we need to do so that we don't run into people. The same in big box stores. You move to the right or left, depending on which way you're going. You stay to the right of the aisle, for example. And then, of course, depending on where you are, it's a free-for-all. So and we know what that's like. Just go into a big box store around Christmas time. There's crap everywhere. You can't move. So there's no rhythmic motion to how the design is. So we see rhythmic motion in everything, whether it's the design of a house. We've got a neighbor who's putting in a house that doesn't have a peaked roof. It's all slanted roofs, little components all over the house with these slanted roofs. And so it's not just one big roof over the house. It's like little modules throughout it. And kind of like what my chicken coop looks like. It looks like exactly that. And it's broken up in ways that I suppose in taken together might look, in a way that someone might like. For me, it's not pleasing. It doesn't show harmonic rhythm. I'm an empath, so everything has to flow. And if I feel, that it's not, I don't like sharp edges. I like rounded corners. I don't, I'm just, I don't know. I'm really all about the whole rhythmic motion of life and the whole rhythmic flow of life. And so when I see Rado, that's basically what you're talking about. Are you in harmony with the self, with others? And in terms of justice, what are we doing there as far as staying in harmony with our moral compass? Are we in this soul journey of ours, our true purpose? And although goals are important, it's more about the process really than about achieving goal, because it's like if you do tax cuts that benefit only the rich, and if you didn't learn from Reaganomics that trickle-down economics doesn't work, well, I don't know, you weren't paying attention, or you want that or something. I don't know. You must be one of those small number of people it benefits. But that's the whole thing, that's being goal-oriented versus process-oriented. If in the process of achieving that goal you destroy the world, well, what have you really achieved? Well, you've got a goal achieved for a couple people and that's it. And that doesn't work. So when we see Rado, it's basically there to tell us that we need to have a balanced rhythmic motion in life, whether it's in terms of our thinking or our actions. We need to be living in balance and in harmony, and living within, because basically when we're talking about, justice as a card from the major arcana, we're already talking about a soul archetype anyway. And so when you add this to this, it's just telling us, folks, we've got to live in balance. We've got to be more about the process than the goal, and to make sure the process, in this case of justice, is preserved for everyone and not just for a chosen few. So I guess for today, think about how you create harmonious relationships with others. Think about how you live in harmony with the land. Think about how you live in harmony with the self. And see what happens. See if any of this comes up for you today, issues of justice, either toward you or from you to the world. And so today's Tuesday, again, July 10th. Well, it would be nice if it were March, because then I wouldn't have as much to do in the garden as I do. I pruned back some of my tomatoes so I could see them and get some light to the tomatoes themselves. They're starting to ripen, so we're excited about that. We'll be having some pasta and tomato sauce soon. So, well, in any event, it's a lovely day, a little cooler on the high desert. Yesterday it was 90. On Thursday it's supposed to be 100, so we'll definitely be running the air conditioning. Still waiting for the project to be finished, though. The electrician still isn't back with the proper breaker, and unclear as to when any of that's happening. So might have to, see what we can do to urge that along here if it doesn't happen in the next day or so. So in any event, fortunately we can still run the air conditioning, and it just isn't, I can't get it inspected so until all that's done. So it would be nice if they would come back and just do this, get it over with. They were supposed to have ordered it, should have already been in the day of the job, but you know how that goes. So in any event, you guys have a wonderful day, and again, feel that rhythmic, harmonious motion within, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. Check out my blog, Stepping Aside, at imsteppingaside.com. I'm Jan Erickson, and have a wonderful day. Blessed be.